But I want to start, as always, with something out of the Bible. So in this case, we're going to compare two kings from the Bible, David and Solomon, right? David he started as a shepherd, he became a warrior, he was at one point a fugitive, and then ultimately he was the king. A little bit of a background on him in 1 Samuel 16, 11 through 13. So he asked Jesse, are these all the sons you have? There is still the youngest, Jesse answered. He is tending to the sheep. Samuel said, send for him. We will not sit down until he arrives. So he sent for him and had him brought in. He was glowing with health and had a fine appearance and handsome features. Then the Lord said, rise and anoint him. This is the one. So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the presence of his brothers. And from that day on, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David. Okay? All right. So a little background on David there. Now Solomon, who was the son of David and Bathsheba, very different upbringing, right? So in 1 Kings 3, 7 through 9, now Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David, but I am only a little child and do not know how to carry out my duties. Your servant is here among the people you have chosen, a great people too numerous to count or number. So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. All right, so let's talk about these two, right? So David, on the one hand, chosen by God, anointed by Samuel, and leadership for him, his idea of leadership grew from the concept of relationships and loyalty. Solomon, on the other hand, was born into the royal court. He was born as an heir to the throne, and he was groomed for stability and governance. Yeah? So their leadership styles, right? David, relational, right? He gathered followers while he was in exile in 1 Samuel 22, 1 through 2. He attracted a band of outcasts who rallied to him in the wilderness, and he led through charisma, loyalty, and shared hardship rather than formal authority. This is before he was king, right? And he's gathering people to him. He danced before the Lord in 2 Samuel 6, 14 through 15. He leads Israel in worship and passion with vulnerability, showing his relational and spiritual connection. He has a personal covenant with Jonathan, a deep personal loyalty, and also in confronting Goliath, right? When he confronted Goliath, he was relying on his faith, his courage, and improvisation as opposed to conventional military systems. And let's compare that with Solomon, right? Solomon, administrative, structured, system builder, policy-driven, stability-focused, right? He ordered the massive construction project of the temple with very precise measurements, logistics, and organization. He ran a huge administrative organization. He appoints 12 governors to systemize taxation. And he created national prosperity through trade, right? He builds alliances and all this kind of stuff, right? So this is very, very different leadership style. Not one bad or one good, it's just very different and based on their upbringing and how they led, right? So what framework are we talking about, right? So the framework we're talking about, which I briefly mentioned in the past, is this concept of organic versus mechanistic, right? This is a very powerful framework once you understand it. It was originally proposed in 1961 by these guys, Tom Burns and Stalker, right? And this is and so this is a more modernized version of what they wrote, but this is basically their bullets of what organic versus mechanistic, right? Organic, you've got flexible roles. In mechanistic, you have fixed roles, right? You know exactly what everyone's job description is. In organic, you have lateral communication, right? People are talking to their peers, everyone's talking, no problem. Whereas in mechanistic, it's verbal, right? You go and you talk to your boss, or your boss tells you what to do. It's a much more up and down type relationship. Organic, very adaptive to change. Whereas mechanistic, you don't want to change. You want to remain static. Organic, there's all these informal networks, right? There's all these working groups, these natural work teams is a term you hear a lot. Whereas in mechanistic, it's a very formal hierarchy. Organic decisions are close to knowledge, and mechanistic decisions are very centralized. Yeah. Knowledge is widely shared in organic, whereas in mechanistic, it's compartmentalized. Organic is collaboration-driven, and mechanistic is supervision-driven. Organic focuses on innovation, whereas mechanistic focuses on efficiency. Both good, right? There's nothing wrong with innovation. There's nothing wrong with efficiency. It's just what system should you be in and are you in at the time? The role boundaries are blurred in organic, and there's clear role boundaries in mechanistic. Call back down to the top one. And on the bottom there, you can see generally organic are motivated by purpose, and mechanistic, they're motivated by compliance. Okay? So let's talk about some practical examples of this to help understand what we're talking about, right? And we'll always put the organic on the left and the mechanistic on the right, just to keep it simple. Organic, a startup company, right? All like the ping pongs in the break room, people doing, kind of relaxing, having food brought in. But on the other hand, working incredibly long hours because it's all very flat and collaborative. Versus an assembly line, right? You got the cars driving, rolling down the assembly line. This guy puts this wheel on, this guy puts this radio in, and it keeps on rolling all the way down the assembly line. Very mechanistic. Sports one is pickup basketball versus, like, say, a high school basketball team, right? Pickup basketball, most of the guys may not know each other, maybe they played before, maybe not. You got to change how you do things on the fly. It's a much more organic type relationship. Similarly with jazz and a marching band, right? So jazz is improvisation. You make it up as you go. It's a very organic thing. Whereas, obviously the Texas A&M marching band practices really long hours to be able to form these kind of formations. And a last kind of this versus that example would be vacation travelers versus rush hour commuters, right? So this is the I-10 on the Katy freeway there, right? I think it's still the widest freeway, at least in America, right? Widest road in America. Now, here's the interesting one, right? And I feel like every morning I get this. All the commuters, the people that commute in this every day, we know what it's like to be mechanistic. We've driven this every time. We know what we're doing. You know how close you can follow the person in front of you. You know how fast you can go. It's all very clear, right? But every single morning or every single evening when I get in this kind of gridlock commute, what do we see, right? We'll see an RV, right? We'll see somebody that's never driven this kind of Houston traffic before, right? And you can tell, you can always tell, right? They're in this organic mindset of, I don't know where I'm going, what exit am I at, where I have to go now. They had this organic mindset and this no rush mindset, whereas all of us commuters, we know where I have to be, I gotta be home by this time for dinner. It's all very mechanistic. So this is a very clear example of when what this is most powerful for. It is a major source of conflict, right? And we'll talk about conflict a lot more as the course goes on. But this is a major source of conflict when you have organic people in mechanistic systems or vice versa, right? Organic thinkers frustrated by rigidity. So an organic thinker in this is like, I don't get why this is so rigid, whereas mechanistic thinkers are frustrated by ambiguity. And misalignment creates friction. So a couple of popular examples of this. I know I use old references, so I'm sorry, but if anybody's seen Office Space, it's a great movie, and the point is, it is a very bureaucratic system, right? They're always asking for these TPS reports, right? The main character says he's got like 4 different bosses. He's very frustrated, and over time, he becomes more and more organic and winds up leaving the mechanistic world and going to like construction, right? This is a scene where these two guys just got fired, and this guy steals the copier that's been giving them so much trouble, and they're destroying the copier out in the field, right? It is this fight, and it's humorous thing. It's a fight between mechanistic and organic, yeah? But good news, I have a modern example. I don't know if anybody's seen this, but this is a show that's on right now called The Bear, right? The Bear is a great show. I really enjoy it. It's a dramatic show, and it's about this guy right here. He's kind of like this classically trained, French trained chef and like all these like Michelin star restaurants. Very, very good, very, very systematic, very rigid of how he wants things done. And he inherits a sandwich shop. Yeah? And so the sandwich shop is like, it is just total chaos all the time. They make amazing sandwiches, right, that everybody loves, and everybody's been going to this place in Chicago for years. So he's trying to bring the systemic, mechanistic process to a very organic situation. And it is fantastic drama and conflict for that, okay? So where does that put us, right, as project managers, right? So you got front-end people, right, and front-end people are fantastic. They're visionary, they're creative, they're brainstorming, they're like architects, right? Architects dream big. They think, oh, we put this here and all this there without thinking about how you support these amazing structures, right? It's not their job. Their job is to come up with some kind of big vision, some kind of dream, right? And then on the other side of us, we got operations. Very mechanical. The job of an operator is to make sure nothing happens that day. Everything should be efficient, perfect, done, right? Focused on standardize, focused on processes, focused on efficiencies. And here we sit in the middle, right? So this is why it's so important, is these people up here, don't get along with these people down here. They may be friends, but they just work in two totally different worlds. And our job is to translate that dream into reality. So projects are where the messy and the magnificent meet, right? You know, we take dreams and we turn them into machines that work. So that is the organic versus mechanistic framework.